All right, it's going live now.
What's wrong with us? Just stand up.
Oh, wait, I think we might be there.
I know we're there. It told me we're there, but I could not, you guys, I could not.
All right, what do I need to do with my Facebook screen?
Facebook screen down. You don't want to even look at it.
So turn it off,
no,
close it?
Don't close it.
Okay. When you say put it down, just move the window down?
Minimize the screen. Make it a little tab on your thing.
Okay.
Guys, this is how I give instructions. I'm sorry.
All right, I think we're good.
All right,
Good morning.
Hey. Good morning, Joe. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. So Joe is in control of the Zoom today because everything appears to be fighting with me. My contacts are fighting with me. Zoom is fighting with me. Facebook is fighting with me. It's fine. That's what I have to say about that. I don't have anything else to say about that. All right, we're going to talk about money today. So welcome to the Backup Brokers live episode. Are we on 5 now? Maybe that's 4.
Sounds good. Yeah, sure, 5.
Somewhere in that range of, are we going to continue to do this? And you guys know what I'm talking about because you do this with your prospecting models all the time. I know I have this conversation with people. So you decide okay, we've been doing these a couple of times. Does this make sense to continue? And I say yes.
I say yes too.
All right, very good.
If nothing else, just because they're fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun talking about this. So today's topic, a little provocative.
Maybe.
It is. I've had 3 conversations this week regarding money with agents of all different levels and status and all of the things in real estate. Brand new agents. Oh, your notifications are happening over there. Brand new agents, existing agents, agents that want to develop teams, teams that maybe want to go back down to agent status. I've had this conversation a ton this week with groups of people, with groups of agents. And so we're going to talk about it because I figure, well, if they're talking about it and I'm talking about it, then maybe other people want to talk about it.
I think it's a great topic. I've had this conversation today or this week as well. Today, this week, this hour, this minute.
Yeah, this exact moment. So yeah, here we go. Coffee and conversations from the broker's perspective. I'm Tiffany, you're Joe. Hello.
Hello.
Let's do this. So money. Agents get into real estate for 2 main reasons, in my opinion. It's the ones that I hear most often. Now, there are these one-off whys, but typically it's the flexibility that our industry offers and financial security.
That's what I hear too.
Yeah. They, a lot of times, think they're going to be a millionaire by next Wednesday.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's not going to cost them anything to get there.
Yeah. Or their time or their efforts or anything. It's just going to magically happen. And I think the public has a weird perception of real estate agents as well in their income. I've had a lot of conversations with consumers about how real estate agents are getting rich all the time. And that's just not the case. I see, in fact, that first 3 months is probably the most difficult and they churn out of real estate more than anything. Yeah,
it's essentially a startup business. And I don't think a large portion of real estate agents, when they come into this business, don't realize that or that's not explained to them.
Yeah.
Because it really, truly is a startup business. You're not going to make any money at this. It's going to cost you money for several months. Even if you walked in the door as a new real estate agent and you had a client, you're still not getting paid for 45 to 60 days minimum, probably.
Yeah, I completely agree. So let's start there. Let's start at the foundation, because whether you're brand new in real estate or you're a team or you're always evolving or you've plateaued to the point where you need something new. So let's go back to the foundational conversation regarding money, and then we can go into goal setting and pipeline building and fear-based decisions that people make around money. But right now, just right at the beginning of this conversation, let's have the foundational, how do you structure your business accounts?
Okay. So how do you structure your business accounts? I've heard there's a couple of different ways to do it. Let's not talk about the LLC side, if anybody wants to do that business entity formation. But as far as structuring your accounts, I think the critical account to have is an operating account.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a business operating account that then you can move funds to two different places. You can move funds to your personal account, and then you can move funds to your savings, tax savings, reinvestment account. So I believe that the best way to set this up is to have two separate business accounts. One as an operating, that's the master account where everything flows in. That's where all your commission checks get paid from your brokerage. And that's where you pay yourself from. The other one is basically tax savings, but also maybe you can use it to save for some reinvestment into your business.
Yeah, I even think that those two accounts can be separated out, those two different saving activities.
Yes.
One of them is a tax specifically for tax, and then the other one as a business savings. What percentages would you recommend from a commission go into those two accounts?
So I would recommend that on a tax savings, you save somewhere between 25 and 30%. You know, we usually say 30%, and typically it's a little bit less than that you're going to end up owing, but I'd rather you have too much than too little. The second account would be reinvestment into your business. I would recommend that you save at least 10% for reinvestment into your business. Now, your day-to-day expenses should get paid out of your operating account. And day-to-day expenses are your board dues and things like that.
Yep. Yeah. The numbers that you said are exactly what I recommend as well. I think 10% is a really good number for business savings and reinvestment into your business at a later date, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, business expenses. But just the structure of that, I think you said something that's really important, is that you pay yourself out of that. If you have your commission checks going directly into your personal accounts, it's already getting mixed up, and then it feels like you're taking money away from yourself in order to pay your business expenses, rather than just putting it directly into a business account, getting all of your business activities and operating expenses taken care of and disseminated through taxes, reinvestment, all of that, and then you move the money over to your personal account.
Yeah, and as you grow your business and as you get to a point where your income is a little more consistent, you may choose to pay yourself a salary and just leave the rest of the funds in there for reinvestment, for tax savings, for rainy day. And then you can kind of evaluate it on a year-end basis and say, well, I've got a pretty decent chunk left over. I'm going to be able to invest this. I'm going to be able to go on a great trip, whatever it is. And that's the best way to run that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'll tell you what, you guys, starting from the beginning with that structure is so much better than going back 2 years later and trying to figure it out, and then having your spouse be mad at you because you're not getting thousands of dollars put into your account every time you
100%.
Oh my gosh. So let's go down that rabbit hole. Money is a giant, huge contributor to divorce, and the divorce rates for real estate agents are astronomical. And I think a lot of that stems from not having the right expectations of availability and not having the right expectations of money. And again, that may go all the way back to not having the correct expectations of income when you get into real estate. But I think those two drivers are happening quite a bit.
Yeah, they totally are. I mean, there's two kind of money problems in this world, and they're both problems. There's too little money, not enough, and there's too much. And I think all of us would rather have the too much money problem, but both of them have significant problems. I mean, I think everybody understands the too little money problem, right?
Sure.
But the too much money problem is, okay, yeah, I make a lot of money, but I never see my family, or I'm never around, or I'm stressed out that I'm not a good parent, or I don't have a plan, or it's all dependent upon me. And if I go on vacation, my business is going to crumble. You know, all of those things factor in, and you really have to, money is part of wealth. Wealth, I define as money plus time. If you don't have any time and you have all the money in the world, what's the point? And vice versa. So you really need to have a balance. And to your point, it really needs to be foundational from the beginning.
Yep. So let's hang out in that realm just for a minute. And it feels very negative, this first part of the conversation, but I think it's really just structuring your plan appropriately. And we're talking about getting back to structuring your plan appropriately. So going back to something very quickly that you said about having too much money, if you don't have a plan for where that money goes and you have too much money, that's going to sway you this way and that way when you get too much money. And then you're going to be spending $20,000 on a dog, right? There's all sorts
your taxes are going to be 40 grand and you only have 10 saved.
Yeah. So you need a plan, whether you have too little money, whether you're making your lifestyle amount, or whether you have too much. It doesn't matter. There still needs to be a plan in place. increasing your income will not change the fact that you have chaos and disruption and all sorts of craziness with your finances if you don't have a plan. So let's talk about getting a plan together. I personally believe when you're starting out, you need 2 numbers, because you're going into this commission on almost always a commission only position. You've got a ton of cash going out at first with board dues and startup expenses and all this. So the 2 numbers that I think are most necessary for real estate agents, whether you're doing a reset or you're just starting out, is your survival number and your lifestyle number. Bare minimum, what do you need to make a month in order to survive, in order to eat? Right? I think that's like bare minimum. And then the second one is your current lifestyle, given what your significant other or other income streams produce for you. What is the lifestyle number you need in order to maintain what you currently have?
Yep. I totally agree. I think those are 2 wonderful, wonderful numbers. And the other thing that when you come, we're talking about a brand new agent, guys, you shouldn't walk into this industry with nothing in your bank account. Okay. Yeah. So you have to be able to walk into this industry with that survival number.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. At least for, I would say 6 months. I think Dave Ramsey recommends 9 months for commission-based professionals, maybe even more. I think I had a year worth of income when I came in, all saved up, ready to go, just in case.
Right.
So you're not starting out in the negative. And we've talked about personal finance in this group before. If you guys aren't familiar with that topic, just search back through personal finance for realtors. And we did, I think it was a 45-minute talk on that. But yeah, the survival number needs to be met for your family for several months, because that's what it's going to take to get to the closing. You don't get paid until you get to the closing.
Right. And a $10,000 open balance on your credit card does not count.
No.
For survival balance.
No. You see that? I've done this to you already today, and now I'm doing this. Okay. Mom finger is away. Okay. Let's talk about goal setting, because what I think a lot of real estate agents, and we've talked about it already, is that they have really big goals, and I think it's fantastic. But they're not hitting them. And so let's talk about that. Why are real estate agents not hitting their goals?
Oh, there's several different ways. Fundamentally, many real estate agents may not be hitting their goals because they aren't setting realistic expectations. They don't have realistic goals. Like, there's very, very few people that are going to walk into the industry in their first year and sell 40 homes. Like, that's not particularly a realistic goal for people. But I see real estate agents sometimes, saying that they want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing is setting the right parameters. Get with your manager, your broker, a colleague, and get the right parameters set. The second thing is, a lot of real estate agents don't know what to do. And what I mean by that is they're not getting training and education. Nobody is sharing with them how to go about this. What's the first step? How to prospect, how to run your business, how to set it up. I mean, literally, in this real estate world, and I'm not trying to indict everybody or every manager, every broker, but there's a large majority of managers out here that don't provide the context for someone to have a chance to be successful. And so that means a real estate agent's got to go figure it out on themselves. And that's really, really difficult and sometimes really expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The other thing that I see a lot of, and I'll check the comments here just for a second. We'll take a super quick break and look for any questions. So if you guys have them, feel free to say it below. But I see the income look like this. They've got a closing. This is awesome, but they forgot to prospect back here. And so, and then it's going up again. And then, so there's not a realistic expectation of cash flow either. Yeah. Because it's constantly like, wow.
When I teach a lot of classes, especially if we're talking personal finance or our Fast Start class, I'll ask the audience, and if it's relatively new agents, I'll say, hey, if you have 4 closings in a month, is that a good month? And everybody always says, yes, that's a wonderful month. And then I say, well, what if you don't have any more closings for the next 3 months because you didn't prospect?
Yeah.
And you average that out, it's not such a good month, right?
Yep, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. So if you are having this, or if you're just starting out, have your very large goal, and we'll go through an example of this in just a second. Have your annual goal, but then break it down into monthly, weekly, and daily action items, and measure your success against those daily action items. Almost always the very first thing to go, and this directly correlates with your money 3 months from now, is prospecting when you get busy.
Yeah.
You have to. Top producers do this. They live and die by their prospecting hour. You guys also have to do this.
The only thing that will flatline that roller coaster ride for you is consistent prospecting.
Yeah. Yeah. And you want your income to look like this, not like that, right? The other thing, and I think this goes back to a crisis related behavior regarding money, is that they are so wrapped up in their short-term needs that they forget about their long-term vision. I don't see any 16-year-olds saving for retirement like with glee to do this, but that's the same thing that real estate agents operate their business with. They're doing Uber all day long rather than just taking that hour-long break to prospect, or they're working their full-time job and then getting home and then they're like, well, I don't want to do anything else. And I totally get it. I got into real estate with a full-time job for 8 months. But the commitment to those daily action items are going to fuel your long-term vision as well as satisfy those short-term needs.
I can't tell you how much your point of breaking it down to the day or even the hour or a half an hour is important.
Guys.
Because if I tell you that, hey, you need to make 100 prospecting calls this month, that's really overwhelming. But if I break that down and say, you know what, that's 3 5-minute calls a day, that's not so bad.
Yeah. I just realized on Facebook that we keep going between speaker view. Would you change it to gallery view up there? I hate when it's my face just large. Did you just change it? And okay.
I'm completely technology averse.
So Joe, like I said, this is his first time hosting this on Facebook. So we're still.
It's a big deal.
We're figuring it out, man. We're figuring it out. This is great for you. I can now turn over the reins all the time. Do you think I'm actually going to do that? I'm a little bit of a control freak about.
No, I don't.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, here we go. My first brokerage, Taryn says, my first brokerage led me to believe that I was going to be rich very quickly. And that happens, and they tell you to quit everything because you're going to be so rich very quickly, and you should jump in with both feet, obviously, if you're dedicated to this. That's
really unfortunate.
It's but it's being repeated over and over and over. I have so many conversations like that, Taryn. You're not alone. Shannon says, I'd spend $20K on a dog. I believe you, friend. So many new agents are told that you have to hustle nonstop or you will lose business and make no money. While you indeed have to hustle, this is Amanda Sharp. She's very thoughtful on this. You have to set your expectations and limits with your time. The other thing, Amanda, and I want to piggyback off of your comment, I think it's very important to talk about. I think that a lot of agents are told that they have to hustle, and so therein they believe that the struggle is necessary in order to make a living. And they sit there, and if there's not a catastrophe happening, they will create one because they feel like they need to struggle for their wealth, and it is simply not the case. You need to commit to the daily action items and then believe that you're worthy of what they are.
Yeah, there's busy and there's productive.
Yeah.
You know, everybody can get busy, but that doesn't mean that you're making any money or you're moving your business forward. So focus on productivity, not busy.
Yep. I completely agree. Tara, you're just the sweetest. Tara Jean says, amen to that, Joe. Took me 4 brokers before I found the amazing Tiffany. You guys, or she found me. You know what, Tara? It's super interesting. I did find you. I'll tell you that story later on, but you came to me. You did reach out to me, but I had been watching your activity. You're very impressive as an agent. Okay, Michelle. So many agents don't have sales experience at all, and it's about knowing how to sell, how to prospect, set appointments, and being fearless and persistent. Michelle Kemp says that. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's about being fearless and persistent. And sometimes fearless doesn't actually mean the absence of fear. It just means you're feeling the fear and you're doing it anyway.
Yeah, and you know what, Michelle, there's a lot of people in this industry, a vast majority that either don't have sales experience or their sales experience wasn't really relevant. Yeah. You know, for example, I came into this industry as a salesperson and was successful. I was a trainer. I was an educator. I didn't know anything about selling real estate. I mean, I really didn't. It's totally different. The correlation for success is only actually linked to 2 outside professions when coming in. It has nothing to do with degrees, MBAs, any of that. But teachers and nurses have a high success rate in the real estate industry. And it's because they're consultants and they're advocates.
Yep. I really think that you need to be constantly educating your clients, sharing your value, not just hard closing them, but also opening relationships. I think if you do those three and you keep consistent touch points with your sphere, you're going to be great. You're going to be great. But you're right, Michelle. People have no idea how to have a script. And a script
Correct.
doesn't sound like reading it sounds like having those conversion points in a conversation where you get closer to the sale. It's not like this. You don't have to hard dial through.
However, that's better than messing it up.
That's true. That is true. You sound muffled like you're reading from a thing. It is better than messing it up. That's the darn truth. We need to take a break just for a second. Are you getting all of these calls on your cell phone about your extended warranty and healthcare options?
Am I personally?
Yes, you personally.
No, but I get a call 4 times a day from realtor.com.
Zillow has got me on their list again, but interesting news about Zillow, which we're not going to go into. They just transitioned to a new CEO. But anyways, no, I get so many telemarketer calls all day long. That's what happens when you're in real estate. So actually that leads me really nicely into this next topic, business expenses. The second your phone number is published as a real estate agent, will be inundated with marketing companies, with companies to buy the product, because here's the deal. They realize that real estate agents with one commission can pay for a year worth of the product. And you are one commission away from making the decision. And also your salespeople, which almost always means that you have shiny object syndrome.
That's very true.
So they just have to catch you on the right day. So they're going to continue to inundate you with this. And so let's talk a little bit about business expenses. You have setup expenses that are necessary for being a real estate agent. Things like board dues, getting your signs, your cards, your website up and running, right?
Yep. Yeah, a couple $1,000s typically when you start. You know what's even, and we're going to just one step back a little bit. What's even worse than getting a commission in your bank account and then buying something that you don't need is buying something that you don't need before the commission gets in your bank account, because sometimes that never makes it there. So be careful. But yes, startup, you have, like you said, I mean, you've got your normal signs, business cards, board dues, pre-licensing.
Printer.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So you're looking at a couple $1,000s startup cost typically. But the great thing about that, what other business can you get into for a couple $1,000s and literally in your first sale, you can be in the black?
Yeah, absolutely. And not a whole lot, I'll tell you that. You're not going to sell widgets. You're going to need several $100,000s to set up your widget factory.
Yes.
Or whatever thing you're doing, right? So yeah, it's an incredibly low barrier to entry, which is, again, why we get a lot of people coming in and then churning out, because it's low barrier to entry and they're not making any money quickly. But all of that does not necessarily get you a client. What do you need expenditure-wise to get a client?
Very little. In my opinion, you should, as a new agent, you should not spend hardly anything on lead generation in your first year. You shouldn't buy leads. You shouldn't spend a bunch of money on Google ads. You should work your sphere of influence. You should work what we would call low-hanging fruit. And to do that, you need a phone and a CRM.
Yep. And your time. Yeah, you need a plan of what the touch points are. You need your time. You need your phone. You need a CRM. And then you can go live on Facebook. I'm telling you guys what, they will love you if you just go live on Facebook and you talk about what happened to you in real estate that week, whatever it is. Like you don't have to say, who do you know that wants to buy or sell? Just talk about your life in real estate. They want the real story of you. They want to know you. They want to like you, and they want to trust you. And that's what you're doing every time you go live. They're going to know you're in real estate. They're going to like you because you're sharing your mannerisms and yourself and the things that you do well. They're going to hear your voice. They're going to see that you do this every time you talk, whatever you do. And then they're going to trust you because you're talking about the experience that you've had in real estate. Maybe it's a recap of something that you like, some aha moment in training, or an introduction to a lender that you met, or some like frequently asked question or even like a preview of a home. I saw this in a home today. Super interesting. Do you know what this is for?
Yeah.
Just
all
share.
those things. And so, yeah, absolutely. You should use social media, and you should also call all these people. Your sphere of influence, you should call them at least quarterly. You should be touching them with a newsletter, social media.
Yep.
I get a lot of agents, especially new agents, but sometimes experienced agents that say, well, I don't want to be salesy, or I don't want to, so you create what is called a secret agent. So ask yourself this question. If your cousin buys a home from somebody else, whose fault is that? Well, that's your fault as a real estate agent, because they did not know that you were an agent. And ask yourself this question. If people don't know you're an agent, let's say you meet somebody and you have a rapport with them, you talk to them, maybe you meet them at a kid's event, whatever. When they sell their home, are they going to use a real estate agent? Almost always they are. So why shouldn't it be you?
Exactly.
Have a conversation.
Exactly. I think it goes back to the conversation of worth and worthiness of a sale. I think there's a lot of self-confidence issues, and that people don't put themselves out there because they're worried about how it will be received, because sales is such a personal business. You're selling yourself, but I would encourage people to take themselves out of the equation and just, it's your bundle of services that you're selling. It's
it's your experience.
Yes, exactly. And how much better to be with you rather than the agent that you know is crooked from across the hall.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about budgeting for innovation and marketing. So you're a brand new agent, you're hitting your sphere hard, which is great. You're doing Facebook Lives, you're door knocking for sale by owners. You're doing all the things that just require time because you are on the uptick for profit, right? But now you want to invest in innovation and marketing. The very best topic or tip that I've heard on this is that they review their budget once a year. And anybody that calls them, anybody that has inundating phone calls, whatever, just says, I'm reviewing my budget in October for this. Feel free to contact me then when we review all of these marketing proposals, all of that.
That's great.
Yeah, it sets up discipline for you and your spending habits so you know exactly what to expect for the rest of the year, but also for them because they're trying to close you on the phone or on whatever. They're trying to catch you in that moment that you make an emotional or a quick decision rather than being thoughtful about it. So if you can push them to that, you'll see who's really serious about wanting to work with you. And then also it quarantines your brain space for money in just that 1 month.
I think that's really, really great advice. And the other thing, when you're looking at add-ons, business innovations, bringing on a program, it should do one of three things. It should either make your business easier to run, it should improve your bottom line, or it should make the experience level that you give your clients better. And if it doesn't do those three things, I don't know why you would consider doing it.
Yep.
And go into the weeds a little bit. If a program sounds good to you, ask them for a demo, ask them for referrals. Tell me somebody else in the area who's using it so I can contact them to see how it's working. And if you don't get those kind of things, I would be a little leery of it.
Yep. And make sure you measure the effectiveness of whatever you're doing. Measure it for a quarter, measure it for 6 months, measure it for a year, so that you can make informed decisions about it. I had no idea that the majority of my spend my first year in real estate only contributed 7% of my income until I went back and did my taxes and budgeting after that first year.
Yeah.
It was devastating to me. You guys gotta monitor this stuff. Measure what matters. Yep. All right, let's see if we got any more questions. If you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the comments. What else do you want to talk about on this topic?
I guess I would ask, all of this goes down to one simple term, and it's called ROI, return on investment.
Yeah.
When you're evaluating expenses, when you're evaluating what you're going to do in business, evaluate your return on investment. It's basically what you said a couple of minutes ago by tracking it. Everything that you spend money on should be evaluated. Your lead generation, your CRM, your brokerage, all of that should be evaluating because you're paying all of those people money. So what are you getting back in return for it?
Exactly. You're exactly right. Jennifer says, so many telemarketer calls. I know. I bet I get 10 a day. I think that is a fair number. Amanda says, got to run, catch the rest on replay. Can't wait to see you. Okay. I'm looking. Jennifer also says she was a secret agent. You guys, you should not be secret agents. You cannot be in this business and be a secret agent.
No, it's friends and family business. If you don't like working with friends and family, get over it.
Yeah. Okay. Michelle says, in your sphere, you need to get your closest friends, your spouse to be on your team. I completely agree with that. You should have ambassadors that you're courting regularly, and also you should measure who your ambassadors are. I have 3 people who have a stack of my cards and refer me. They're my hype friends. They're your wingmen.
That's awesome. Reward them too.
Absolutely. What if you don't have a sphere? So Jamie says, what if you don't have a sphere? Shannon says, everyone has a sphere. Janine says, your sphere is everyone you know, friends, dentist, doctor's office, everyone you come in contact with. I want to make a very quick suggestion, and I'm going to point them to a reference or a resource. If you guys go to keyworld.tv and then under resources and then Grand Rapids resources, all the way down at the bottom of the page, there is a resource sheet. And right in that first section, it says start here. There is a guide to 150 people you know that you don't realize you know. Yep. Who does your taxes? Who changes your tires? Who does your hair? Who's your postman? Like all of the people that you don't think about that you know that's in your sphere, I'm telling you, they're in your sphere. The other thing that I would do is if legitimately you have just moved to a new area, you have no sphere, you have nothing, is I would get involved in professional networking groups, not necessarily a BNI because I don't like BNI, but if BNI is your thing, then BNI. But a chamber event, anything on eventbrite.com that interests me, I would find people with shared interests very quickly and develop business relationships with them, because when you're in a business to business mentality, it's totally different than developing a friendship.
It is. And I think that's wonderful advice. And to that same point, if you just move somewhere, get involved in business groups, but also get involved in the stuff that you like doing. You know, be purposeful, join the YMCA, volunteer for a group. You know, you're going to find like-minded people in those groups that are going to end up being your real estate clients. Yep.
I agree. Or start a group if you're not finding I bet you if you like something, somebody else likes it too. Okay. Yeah, Jamie says she moved across the state. And so that's what happened there. There is a fantastic video by Jared James. I think you and I have talked about this video actually before. It's called The Core 100. Just search Jared James, The Core 100 on YouTube. It is how I started my real estate career. It's very, very smart. Now, I did it before he did this video. I think he presented that as a keynote speaker, but it was exactly what you just described, Jamie. It's you moved, you had no expectations or sphere or anything, and you need to get going quickly. So he employed the system of creating business contacts in the neighborhood or in his new city or whatever. And he very quickly became a top agent within the year. So go watch it, go do everything he says.
You know, another way to build your sphere and build your network really quickly, and if you're brand new, start holding open houses.
Yes.
Get into open houses and start hosting them quickly.
Yep. And if you think that a listing agent will not give you the open house, that's not at all correct. Most listing agents are very busy and they don't want to hold the open house. So if you create a resume or a cover letter or something like that, and you reach out to that listing agent in your office, they're going to, number one, be impressed that you're trying to impress them with your credentials, and also thankful. They want the exposure on that house. Just go reach out to them. And if your brokerage doesn't have them, go to another brokerage. You can host, at least in Michigan, you can host other brokerages open house as long as you have the approval of both brokers.
Mm-hmm. You can, yep. And we should do one of these on professional presentation, both internally and externally.
Next week. I like it. Did you just thumbs up me or did you touch your face?
I itched my face, but yes, thumbs up.
I like it. All right. That seemed to be it for the comments. Let me just do one more quick check and then we'll wrap this thing up, huh? Whew. Oh, no, that's Joe. You're all over my notifications today. I don't know what's going on with you.
I am.
Yeah, you are. You've been very busy today on, I think, Facebook and email and all the things. Michelle says
I have not.
You guys, Joe, I think starts working at 3:30 in the morning.
I do start working early. That is my plight, and I apologize.
Yeah, that's your space. I don't start working until after 9. Like these are scheduled for 9 o'clock because that's when my brain starts running. So that's just where we're at. So I looked at my phone to find the comments and your name was all over my phone for notifications. That's all I got today on this topic, you guys. Be consistent, know your goals, go through and monitor your expenses. and go crush it.
Yeah. Have a great day. Monitor those expenses. That's the most critical thing you can do.
Yep. All right. You got to press leave meeting to be done with this or end meeting or something.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Good. Bye, guys.